anticipate that others will join us soon. Okay, so I'm Akintunde Alexander for Unblemished Advocacy. So Unblemished Advocacy is a faith-based, not-for-profit organization. We have a mission to reach out to students cutting across all levels. We preach academic excellence in purity, and it is our desire as we reach out to students to inspire them for excellence and to inspire them for quite real learning. So that's what we do at Unblemished Advocacy. And we deem it fit to celebrate a golden day as this, the International Day, which we started last year. Last year, 2022, was our maiden edition, which we had a webinar topic, Deep Learning, an Approach in Education. We had a nice time. Exactly 1 year ago, we had discussions on deep learning, which is an approach for education. I believe after this webinar, I'll drop a link to that in case you would love to feed on the video content we recorded for last year. We are glad to we had Mr. Elijah was our speaker for last year, and I'm glad to have him around tonight again. Well done, Mr. Elijah. I want to appreciate you for all you did to make tonight's webinar a reality again. Also, I will be speaking quickly concerning the International Day of Education. Perhaps, maybe you are not familiar with that, or maybe you're hearing about the International Day for quite the first time. International Day of Education was deliberated December 3rd, 2018 at the UN meeting deliberation as a means to foster educational development in nations as a means to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is quality education in the year 2030. So during the meeting, the UN deliberated and they chose January 24th, every January 24th, as a day to commemorate this golden day as a means to spread education to the less privileged, as a means to incite leaders in all developing nations to fund and to give more attention to education in their nation as a means to human development. So International Day of Education 2023, the one we are commemorating today, will be the 5th edition. The first edition was in 2019, while today is the 5th edition with the theme investing in people and education. So for tonight, we'll be coming up with this topic, self-education as a skill to lifelong learning. We've come to research has made us understand that many students don't know how to know what they don't know. That is the word. Many students don't actually know, or people generally, not actually students now. Every active learner, many active learners don't actually know how to know what they don't know. Please, can you still hear me? Are we still together, please?
Yes, we can get you.
All right. So many students, active learners, perhaps don't know how to know what they don't know. And in this life, you can't actually be taught everything by a teacher. You can't actually be taught everything, perhaps in class. There will be time you have to learn things by yourself. That is why I say education is quite important. That is why self-education is quite important for everyone, students, active learners, and anyone that desires development as they go on in life. So that's majorly why we are coming up with this topic tonight. And I'm super sure our guest speaker, Ms. Roland Daniels, is prepared to put justice to this topic of discussion tonight. Thank you. So I think we should have her as we continue with the webinar. So with your super emojis on the chat box, can we welcome Mrs. Daniels? Thank you so much. Can we
Okay.
welcome Mrs. Daniels with our nice emojis, the clapping emojis, as you come up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for that warm welcome, Mr. Alexander. And allow me to say thank you to you and Mr. Elijah for the trust that you've shown in me, for inviting me to be a speaker tonight. I hope I will do you justice to the topic, and that all of you tonight here, that you will take something with you tonight. Okay. And then I didn't even greet you all. So hi and hello to everybody. I am Ms. Rolene Daniels. I am from South Africa, but I am currently working here in Doha, Qatar, and that is where I've come to know Mr. Elijah. I'm an ICT teacher. I am in teaching for many years now, where I taught different subjects. Teaching is very close to my heart. And then this topic, lifelong learning, is one of my missions, because my motto is enter to learn and transform, and change to transform. So that is why that is very dear to me. So yeah, so that is about me. For the sake of this webinar, I would love, and I see all of you have your sound muted, so that we don't have the disturbance of background sound at the back. And then, so every now and then, I might pop a question, and then feel free to unmute yourself if you want to answer, if I ask a question. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now with you. I've prepared a PowerPoint. The PowerPoint, maybe I must first say, I am not very professional, and I'm not going to have a big lecture, and I am going to try to make it as easy as possible so that you can understand it. And that is the stance that I took into this PowerPoint presentation. Mr. Alexander already has given us an introduction about what this day is for, so I'm not going to repeat that again. So I'm taking that out of what he've already said. So I will share my PowerPoints right now with you, and then we can start. Just before I start, can everybody hear me clearly? And if you cannot hear me, just give me a thumbs down. If you give me a thumbs up, then I know we're all on board. Thank you, Mr. Wasi. Thank you, Mr. Tassara. Thank you. So you can all hear me clearly. Thank you for that thumbs up. Okay. As you know, our topic this year is self-education, a skill for lifelong learning. And you're all familiar with the term education. You know what is education. You know what I'm going to talk a little bit more about self-education, and you know what the meaning of lifelong as a separate word means and what is learning. So I'm just going to join the two together. As you can see there, I said knowledge is power. And I believe the audience here tonight is consists of students, learners, and maybe some professionals also. Okay. Just as an icebreaker, I've got something here on the screen. I need you to look at it. I'm going to give you a minute or two just to look at what you see here in front of you. And then, if there's anyone who's brave enough to tell me, what do you think, what does these numbers stand for, or is there a correlation between these numbers, or what do you think, what is the connection between these numbers, or what you've seen here on the screen? So I'm going to give you a minute or two just to look at the numbers. So this is now my icebreaker. Okay, I've got in the chat. Thank you for that. I can hear you. Is there anyone brave enough? Is there anyone brave enough who can tell me what you think? What does this numbers represent? Okay. Wasi, can you unmute yourself? Okay, Wasi. Okay. You gonna
Hello,
try?
good evening. Can anyone
Yes.
hear?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a very wild trial. So
No.
I think education is what brings all this together. I think the 172 refers to the number of countries that have maybe pledged to having education as a priority. And I think that the $300 billion is the value of education worldwide. I mean, in terms of the contribution education makes worldwide. I think that's how far I can go, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a good try. I like the idea that you're referring to some of these numbers, what it represents. Okay, so I'm going to help you out here. First of all, before I'm going to show you what it is, I thought when I put this up, I'm not going to give you something about education because all of you are going to guess something about education. So it is not about education, but it is something that you all well aware of that recently took place. And I use this especially seeing that I am now in Qatar. So let me help you here. That is what it is. So your try was not so far out because you've referred to different things that's related to education.
Wow.
Okay, so I hope that's a little bit of a loosen up session. Okay, So this is what it is. And the reason why I also showed you this, it's a kind of an icebreaker, but also of giving you a minute just to think. And that is what education is all about. Whether there's no right or wrong answer, and that was not the aim for me why I put this up. And I wasn't looking for a right or wrong answer. The aim was as an icebreaker and also just to give you a minute to think. And I'm sure you probably were thinking maybe this is related to numbers, mathematical stance, or maybe some history, or whatever the case might be. So that was the reason why I put this up. Okay, so come, let's get to the topics. So I'm going to start this session off with some quotes from 3 iconic people. And I know you know these people. So Mahatma Gandhi said, live live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. I'm going to repeat, learn as if you were to live forever. And then Henry Ford said, anyone who stops learning is old. Whether at the age of 20 or 80, anyone keeps learning stays young. And then the well-known Albert Einstein says, once you stop learning, you start dying. Now you wonder, why am I using these quotes? If I look at these quotes, these people, they said it years ago. But in today's life, I think it is still alive. Although they said that years ago. And I can relate to these quotes with teaching and learning and education and everything around education. Especially the one that Mahatma Gandhi said, learn as if you were to live forever. And that is what lifelong learning is about. And we know from an early age, we were told that to get good education, we need to go to school. And we all associate education or learning with either school or college or university. And after school, we thought, okay, we're done now with learning. And while I was preparing this, and I was thinking, when I was still at school, and I'm old school, my parents used to say, listen, you need to go to school so that you can go work, get out of the house, and buy your own stuff. So I was dreaming of when I get out of school, I'm going to buy this, I'm gonna live in a big house, I'm gonna buy a car, etc. So those were my childhood dreams. But as I grew older, I've realized that my childhood dreams, and now that I'm a grown-up, is so far apart. Because when I was still at school, I was thinking, okay, I need to get done so that I can go work and earn money and buy that house that I'm dreaming of, or that car. And you know, when you're still young, you dream of big houses, big cars and stuff. Today I have a house. It's definitely not the dream house that I was dreaming when I was a child. I have a car, but it's definitely not the car that I've dreamt about when I was still at school. Now, what is the correlation between what I said now and then? I've come to the realization that the dreams that I had then and that I have now, if I want to reach those dreams, I cannot just stop where I am currently at, because I had the house, but it's definitely not the dream house that I dreamt about. So I need to do something in order to make sure that I achieve what I dreamt about then. And that is why these quotes are, I can relate to these quotes now, to the topic. If you look at these pictures, I'm going to ask one of you again. I'm sorry, I was thinking I'm going to try and involve you, because I've attended webinars previously, and sometimes the first 5 minutes of 10 minutes, then the speaker lose the audience. And I hope I'm not going to do that now. So that is why, so every now and then I might involve one of you. If you look at these pictures, apart from teach me the way I want to learn, and as you can see, I've put that here for every cartoon. What do you think, what does this mean? What does it refer to? Is there anyone who wants to take a guess? Why did I put this up here? Anyone who wants to take a guess? As you can see, these pictures are all different, but the bubbles are all the same. Teach me the way I want to learn.
It's being ignorant.
Being ignorant? Okay. Yes. Thank you for that, sir. Another one?
So for me,
Reactions are going on in the chat.
Excuse me? Okay, yes, I will go to the chat, yes. Mr. Israel said, I think it's the posture that most people choose in learning. Yes. And then I've got is Mr. Israel, that they want to learn at their comfort. And then Mr. Adeyemo says, it's my position, my learning position. And then there's another one, not taking personal responsibility. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay, you can switch it off now. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, then I've got raised hands there. Yes, Mr. Tassara.
Yes. Please, can you mute?
Okay, that's what I'm doing now. Thank you. That's what I'm doing. Thank you. Okay. So these pictures represent definitely a learning environment. It could be a school. It could be whether you're in college, or it could be whether you're at university. It definitely represents a learning environment. And it shows that every individual learns differently. And you take information differently. So I can be the teacher, or I can be the presenter now. And each of you have a different way of taking that information. I asked my son now during the holidays when I was at home, I asked him, I used they were busy with exams, and I asked him every day, listen, how was your day? I start with, how was your day? And then his answer, okay. How did you write? Okay. So it went on for a couple of days. And I think by the 5th day, I'm like irritated. And I said to him, listen, why you say, okay, I need more. And then he said, school is so boring. And I was like, what? Yes, school is boring. Now I'm asking him, so why are you saying school is boring? He said, no, every day. And now he's starting to count the hours. I'm sitting for 5 hours, 8 hours at school, same every day. And then every day we get homework. And on top of it, some of the teachers are so boring. And I'm thinking, while I was now preparing this, is this now what my son experienced when he's in school at, and this is the experience now? I'm wondering, is it the child that is sitting with a chair now and sleeping, or the one who looks so irritated? And because he said school is so boring, my immediate response was, listen, school is important. At the end of the day, you need to finish school. So that was my response to him. You need to finish school so that you can earn money, and then you don't have a boring life. So the same school that might be so boring to some of you now that is currently at school or university, the same school that is currently so boring, maybe, is also the place that is the most important thing in your life. And why am I saying that it's the most important thing in your life? Because if you miss out school and you decide now, okay, school is not for me anymore, then you're going to miss out on a very important stage in your life. So I'm saying school is important in your life, but if you miss out, then you miss out on a very important stage in your life. So why am I saying it? That brings me to the role of the school. So what is the role of the school? The same school that is boring or not, or maybe you're not taking so serious. That is the place that gives you your social development. That is also the place that gives you your mental development. And if I say social development, this is the place where you come into contact with other learners. So you interact with other people. It's your ability to grow with other people. And that you get from school. If you count the hours that you are at school or in university or wherever the institution that you are currently at, if you count those hours and you count the hours that you are at home and the hours that you spend with your parents, that hours is more that you spend at school because you come in contact with people, you're talking more. The hours that you are at home, a few hours you'd speak with your parents and then the rest you're sleeping. So the interaction at school or the institution where you currently are at are more. So the school is the place where you get your social development, your mental development. You wouldn't be here tonight attending this webinar if it wasn't important for you to gain knowledge. You came to the webinar with an expectation that maybe when I'm done here with this webinar, I will receive something from, you will receive something from me. You wouldn't thought about this if the school hadn't planted that seed for your mental development, where you have critical thinking, problem solving. That is the things that you got from school, and that was the role of the school. That is the part that the school plays in your development. So another role of the school is your physical development. So there are many activities apart from learning. You play sports, take part in cultural activities, or whatever the case might be. And then the school's role was also for the emotional development. So the school plays a very important part in one's life. So the school cannot be a school and say, but listen, I am just going to teach you. If you get a teacher that's only there to teach, then you don't get what you actually should get. So the role of the school is for holistic education. You will see why I am doing this and why I'm touching on the school. So what is this holistic education? Through holistic development, you might now think, why am I now saying, listen, I don't need this, or you don't need to hear this part. I think through the school and this holistic development that the school has given you, the school has learned, at the school, you have learned to deal with your problems. Also through the school and the holistic approach that the school has taken in your development, you have learned to communicate with the world. Also through this holistic approach of development, you have also learned to recognize, to control your emotions and understand the feelings of others. You have also learned to develop the values of what is right and what is wrong. And that you've also learned how to collaborate, work as a team. So these wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the school. Whether you are now at university or whether you are in a career now, if you think back, this was all through school. And that is not where it should stop. Now, there's the perception that we think of learning as a young person's pursuit. For sure, we know that is not true. With the things that has changed so much now, this perception doesn't exist. It is found that the age group 4 to 12 show the strongest effect on learning. Why? Because if you are young, everything that you've learned is new to you. So if we come up with new concepts, you're excited, or not even new concept, every word that you hear is a learning experience, and you take it and grasp it easier than an adult or older people. Why? Because adults already have learned it. You've heard that before. And that is why they say the age group 4 to 12 has the strongest learning effect. But that certainly doesn't mean that adults can't benefit from learning. And you all know, as it turns out, old brains can learn new tricks. And then there was a study that was done by Rothman. I can't remember the surname now, but it was done in Canada. And he has found that old adults can perform just as well as young adults in visual short-term memory. So no comparison with when you're older, where you say, no, you cannot do this. I cannot do this. So in light of all in everything what I've said now, that brings me to lifelong learning. And as you can see, we cannot reach the point where we talk about lifelong learning if we did not get it from school. So the seed will plant at school. So what we've learned in school is essential. Of course, it lays the foundation for our future. But learning shouldn't stop there. And learning shouldn't stop after graduation. And did you know we are actually everyday lifelong learners? Because every day is a learning experience. None of us can say, and that is my belief, none of us can say that yesterday's day is exactly the same today. You might stand up at 5 every day. Yes, it's a routine. You might go stand up and your first thing that you do, you brush your teeth. Yes, it's a routine. But as the day goes along, and you meet other people, your interactions or what you are doing, what you are saying, that is where the difference is going to come in. So every day is a different day, and every day is new experience, and we learn from our new experience. And I think, and for me personally, I think educational institutions, they don't instill lifelong learning. They do it, but not enough. They should put more emphasis on lifelong learning, because every day is a learning experience. So what is lifelong learning? So this has been taken from the internet. It's not my own definition. So they say there are different definitions, but it all comes down to the same thing. They say lifelong learning is broadly defined as the ongoing voluntary and self-motivated pursuit of knowledge for either personal or professional reasons. So lifelong learning is defined as ongoing. Look at the words. Ongoing, voluntary. When I looked at the definition for lifelong learning that was given, so like I said, there was a whole bunch of definitions that was given. And this one I'd like the most because they said ongoing, voluntary, and self-motivated pursuit. So for you to succeed in lifelong learning, ongoing, voluntary, and self-motivated, you need to have that in order for you to succeed in whatever you pursued. So what would be the reasons why one would want to do this ongoing thing of learning? Maybe for personal development or professional development. Personal development, maybe you want to increase your knowledge and your skills in a hobby. That is why you want to go further with and you want to learn more. Or you want to learn new skills to enhance your life. So you want to learn more because you want to make your life better. So that is some of the reasons why you might pursue lifelong learning. And if I say pursue lifelong learning, that means you're going to go enroll maybe into a course, or maybe if you don't enroll in a course, you get information from somebody to help you in a specific situation that you cannot do on your own. For professional development, maybe in your job, you need promotion, but the conditions are you cannot get promotion unless you do a certain course. So there are different reasons why people want to pursue a lifelong learning. So remember these words: ongoing, voluntary, and self-motivated. If you look at this picture, how much you learn from theory. And I know for a fact, maybe many of us would say, no, we're not good at doing the theory. I'm better at practical. I can remember it way better than doing the thing. So as you can see, you learn a little bit more if you practice this. And the ones that you learn more from is from your mistakes. Now, if you don't learn from your mistakes, that is where you're going to stagnate. And you're not going to grow. If you don't acknowledge your mistakes that you have made, then you're going to stagnate. You won't be able to move forward if you're not able to see your mistakes and learn from your mistakes. And how do you know you make mistakes? You learn through self-evaluation. You learn from what others have observed from you. And that is where you grow in lifelong learning. Okay? But lifelong learning cannot take place if there is no education. We've established education. Education took place that way back now, school, university, maybe do a few courses here and then you start working. That is education. You've learned something. But self-education comes, if you now remember, I'm going to take you back to that slide of lifelong learning, ongoing, voluntary, and self-motivated. Now, self-education goes with this. I cannot do self-education if there is no lifelong learning. So you cannot take the two apart and say, but listen, lifelong learning has nothing to do with self-education. The two goes hand in hand. Because through self-education, lifelong learning takes place. Because you've already finished your school. You've already finished your university. You might be already in your career. You might already be in that position that you hope to be. But you cannot say education is separate from lifelong learning, because through education, lifelong learning takes place. And not education, self-education, because education starts at school, university. If you go and you work and there's a few courses here and there, that is education. But self-education is the act or process of educating oneself. Now, why would you want to do self-education? You would want to do self-education, and that is now after education, you finish your career because you want to pursue lifelong education. Okay, I've been saying a lot of things now. Can I get an indication if my audience is still awake? You still following me? Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, Madam, we're still here.
Okay. So, self-education and lifelong learning cannot be separate. So you get lifelong learning through self-education. And what is self-education? Is when you educate yourself in simple words. So you have the confidence to teach yourself any new skill that interests you. And if you can remember right at the beginning, I said, every situation is a learning situation. And we actually are doing this a long time ago. We all are self-educators. I'm taking the cell phone, for example. And I think all of you got cell phones. Who teach you how to use, or who taught you how to use the cell phone? Was there any teachers involved?
Self-education.
Self-education. And you know, with the cell phone, if I'm not thinking, and I was just thinking of it now, with the cell phone.
Many times we don't even read the manuals. We forgot to
Hey?
read the manuals.
Yes, and you know, with the cell phone, every time there's new features that's coming up, new things. And as the cell phone and the new features comes up, you want to upgrade because you don't want to fall behind. Am I right? Whether you can afford it or not, but
Very
you want
correct.
to.
Yeah.
Hey?
Very correct. Yeah.
Yes, whether you can afford it or not, but I want a cell phone. At the end of the day, with all these new features, there was no teacher involved. Maybe your teacher, if you're a parent, maybe your teacher was your child, because my kid, they know more than me. The other day, my son, he's doing this TikTok thingy. And I was coming in and I was like, what are you doing? No, mommy, come, the TikTok. And I'm like, listen, I don't have time for this nonsense. And he's like, this is not nonsense. And I was looking at him and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even do what you are doing. So that's why I'm saying maybe your child was your teacher, a nephew or a niece. But this is all through self-education, as you can see. And there are many examples. Another example for it is with online. All these programs. Word. You know, you use Word for normal typing. And Word has a lot of features. And as you are working in it, through trial and error, you learn yourself how to get things done. If it gets to the more complicated features in the program, then you might ask for assistance. So can you see? You already have done it. Self-education, you know, some of the ladies might now gonna think I am a little bit biased here. You know, men, I think, and I believe it, they are the leaders in self-education. Do you know why I'm saying it? Is there anyone who knows why I'm saying? They are the leaders in self-education. You know, many times when there is something that needs to be fixed, they will jump in and they will fix it without a guide. That's self-education. So that's why I'm saying we've already done it. And we only need to take that further. So self-education is educating oneself by one's own effort. And with self-education, you have the confidence to teach yourself any new skill. And now you may wonder, why would you want to teach yourself anything besides what you've learned at school in the first place? So why self-education? So as I said, self-education can only happen through okay, I've got a hand raised. Let me go to my audience. Yes, my dear. Techno, yes, my dear. Your hand is raised. Yes, I'm listening. Yes, Techno, you can unmute yourself. I'm listening. There's another hand raised. Banju? Can you unmute yourself? I'm trying to unmute. Yes, your hand was raised. Yes, I'm listening.
Yes. Self-education. Why self-education? Because it's not everything your teacher will teach you. It's not everything your teacher will teach you. You have to learn. Even if your teacher teaches you everything, it cannot stay in your brain. The teacher cannot teach you everything and it will stay in your brain.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic. There you got the answer. Why self-education? And that was the next thing that I wanted to say. You didn't learn all the things at school. The teacher cannot learn you everything. Okay, I've got more hands up. I'm gonna go to, I've got a hand up. Edward? Yes, Edward? Okay. Okay, let's carry on. So why self-education? As you know, we live in a global world where knowledge and work are changing rapidly. And to keep up with these changes, and we need to self-educate. As Banju was saying, your teacher cannot teach you everything. You won't get all the information from the school. You need to go out yourself and get that information, and that is what the essence of this whole thing is about. So if you want to keep up with the ever-changing technology, then you need to self-educate. So the good thing about self-education is that you are learning something that you want to learn. At school, I'm going to use the word force, I quote, force, because you need to do it in order to pass. So in school, university, they educate you. You need to learn this specific module in order to pass. With self-education, it is something that you want to do. And if you do something that you really want to do, then you're going to be more curious and you're going to have more confidence to do the thing. And you will see it through also. That is the good thing about self-education. Now, self-education is one of the most important conditions of lifelong learning, as I said previously. It helps students learn and adapt to the world and society as it continually advances. Now, I said here, circumstances are irrelevant. You cannot say, but listen, I cannot self-educate me because I don't have this, I don't have that. If you come up with excuses every time for doing this thing and you throw your circumstances in front of that, then you're not going to advance. There will be no progression. So circumstances are irrelevant. And I would say books or your resources are your best friend in self-education on your journey, in your journey to lifelong learning. And also, you develop a willpower or a drive to do it because you are doing something that you want to do. So now I have here, credentials are no longer enough. And that is so true. You know, you now need other ways to differentiate yourself from others. If you, for example, are applying for a job, and you know we are living in a competitive world, the job market is competitive, and especially where there's a scarcity of jobs. You need to find a way to differentiate yourself from the other competitors. So how are you going to do it? You're going to do it to do extra courses, to show the boss or your employee that, listen, I've done this, so that they can see we have the same qualifications, but I've got something extra through self-education. And that is the essence of this. The best is to demonstrate that you're self-directed and motivated. So credentials are no longer enough. You cannot come and say, but listen, I've got a degree. That degree means nothing. If there are 5 others who are competing, then your degree means nothing. So you need to find a way to differentiate yourself. And that is why self-education is important. And let that be your drive. While you're still at school, while you're in university, let this be your drive, differentiation. Self-education is the ultimate competitive edge. You need to compete. New technology often ends up creating new opportunities. So traditional classrooms is simple too slow to catch up with the changing pace of technology. And I can honestly tell you, I'm a teacher. If I look at my kids, they know, even I'm an ICT teacher, there are some of the things that they know more than what I know. If it comes to technology, I know the content, yes. So I can't keep up with them. The only way how I can keep up with them is through self-education. So I don't want my learners to tell me, but ma'am, you can't do this. Yes, I can't do it now, but tomorrow or a week later, I can talk with you, because I want to also keep up to date with the technology. So self-education is the ultimate competition edge, competitive edge. You need to make sure that you stay on track, because your teacher is not going to teach you this. I hope this will urge you now not to just rely on what you get in class, because that is not enough. It doesn't matter what subject it is. You need to go and you need to do self-study. Okay? Why? There are many reasons why you may want to teach yourself, as I said. It will enhance your ability to think critically. It will also increase your knowledge about the world. And it will create more opportunities for yourself. So through self-study, it will enhance your ability to think critically, and it will increase your knowledge about the world, and you want to stay up to date. and it will create more opportunities for you. Okay, now how can you do this? So I'm now talking about self-studying and this lifelong journey. So how can you do this? And this is my guidelines for you. How you can do this. First of all, you need to set a goal for yourself. You cannot have a goal if you do not have a strategy. So you need to set goals. You cannot have a goal if you do not set a strategy. And then you need to put it into practice. And once you've done, then you need to do self-evaluation. So now I'm talking about goals. You all know what the goal is. You need to be specific in what you want to learn. And with goal setting, you cannot say, I want to learn music. That's not a specific goal. There are so many things related to music. You need to be specific with music. Do you want to go play in a band? What is your end? What do you want to achieve at the end of the day? So you need to establish your goal. And then, why do you want to learn it? I'm going to take typing as an example. While I was preparing this and I was thinking, a zillion examples came up, and I thought, okay, all of you, you've used a computer tonight, and obviously, or your cell phone, you've typed something in. All of you can type. So you set a goal for yourself, I want to type. That is too vague. You need to be specific. Say, for instance, you said, okay, I want to type. I want to learn how to do blind typing, for example. But why do you want to learn it? Is it going to help me in what I want to perceive? That is the question. Yes, I can want to blind type because maybe in my career, I need it for my job to type faster in my job. So you need to be more specific with your goal. And then, what is your strategy? Self-reflection on how you learn best. So here you determine your learning style. How do you learn best? Do you learn this new skill that you want to learn? I want to learn to type. How am I going to learn this? Will it be better for me if I go and I watch videos, for example? Do I learn better by watching videos, or do I learn better by reading? Or do I learn better if I go to someone and someone assists me in the classroom? So that is the second thing. So that is the strategy. How do you learn best? What is your learning style? And the learning style will differ for each learner. Okay. And then start with the right learning resources. So now I've got my goal. What do I want to achieve? What is my learning style? So how do I learn best? Where am I going to get the resources from? What resources is needed so that I can put it into practice? So the best educational, there's educational podcasts. There are games, there are YouTube channels, there are a lot of resources on the internet, lots of resources. So you need to go and filter what is important for your situation to put that into practice. So you cannot put it into practice if you doesn't have the resources. So you need to have the resources for this new skill, for your self-education on your way to your lifelong journey. Okay. And then I said the last one was self-evaluation. So under self-evaluation, you sit back and you check now, did I read it? What is the obstacles? What do I need to change? Is there something in my plan that I'm currently following that I need to change? And that is what self-evaluation means. So you need to go sit down, and nobody can tell you, but listen, you need to do this. This is your plan on your journey. And everyone's plan will differ. So there are many ways how you can fuel your newfound motivation now. Through books, reading books, find an online course, you find a mentor, you search for ways to gain experience, you attend seminars or workshops. So you've established, but this is what I want to learn. The skill that I want to learn. I'm going to make a simple example. You want to learn how to ride a bike. That's an easy thing. You will get up, you might fall, but are you going to leave it like that? No, you're not going to leave it. If you want to learn that skill, then you're going to get up and you're going to try again. And that is what self-education is about. If you fail, listen, I'm saying this is what self-education is about. If you fail, you get up and you try again. But you try again, not the failures, you find new ways. And you check, you evaluate, what have you done wrong before you can go on. And that is how you will see it through. Now, you can have all these nice plans about self-education. You can have all the plans. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But if your frame of mind isn't right, then it's not going to work out. You're going to do it halfway and you're going to stop. And you will come up with all the excuses if your frame of mind isn't right. So you need to have the right mind frame. So everything that you want to do, every new skill that you want to learn, where you want to educate yourself, you need to have steps to follow. And these steps are your goals. You set your goals, you find your resources, you find your learning style, you do reflection. Yes, you have the steps. But if you do not have the right frame of mind, then you're not going to see it through. It's the same with school. The teachers say you're going to write a test. If you have a negative attitude towards that subject, your marks will show. So your frame of mind must be right. So what is mind framing? Is the own personal growth framework. So it's your mental attitude towards what you are doing or what you are planning to do. That is what frame of mind is. It influences how the individual thinks and acts. So if you have a positive mind frame, it will unlock all your potential and you will achieve your goal. If you have a negative mind frame, it is inevitable to block that obstacles or to unblock that obstacles. So now if you look at mind framing, I don't know how many of you knows this. If you want to delve a little deeper into your mind framing, to make sure that you don't do things halfway, there are 3 sets. It's your growth mindset, metacognition, so your cognitive, that's what this is, and then your self-authorship. These are the 3 mindset or your mind framing that you must have. If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish it. That's a famous saying. So what is this growth mindset all about? So growth mindset is having a deep belief that growing happens through small incremental steps. So whatever you plan, you do it step by step. That is what it means. Step by step. And through those small steps, you will succeed. And you will see your end goal. It is not an overnight thing. You can't jump or you can't skip some of the steps. So you go in with the right mindset where you say, listen, this is the steps. Remember, I said you have a goal. And then from the goal, you need to have your strategy. Can you see? I cannot skip a step from the goal. And now I want to go and get my resources. But for what do I want to get the resources? There's something missing in between. So obviously, I'm not going to reach what I want to achieve. So growth mindset is step by step. Step by step, you will achieve what you want. And then metacognition, cognition is thinking about thinking, is about your cognitive thinking. So your knowledge, so this is where the knowledge comes in. Your knowledge of what you know and what you don't know, as well as all the strategies that you're going to follow. So this is where the knowledge comes in. So my steps that I need to follow, what is my knowledge? What do I know? My pre-knowledge about the skill that I want to do. Or even if I don't know, oh, I don't know much. So this is what I should do. So my mind frame must be right. What do I know about the things that I need to go and study? And then self-authorship is the ability to define and express your own personal authority. That is what self-authorship is, the ability to define your own personal authority. So what is it? So here you rely on your inner voice. What does your inner voice tell you? You don't rely on external authority to define your beliefs, your values, and your social relationships. in whatever you want to do. So once you have your mindset in order, then you can do that. So now you have it. In order for you to achieve in your journey to lifelong learning through self-education, if you now can remember, I said you need to have steps. I first started off with school, and there's a reason why I had that pattern. I hope you can follow the pattern that I've followed now so far. I started off with school. The reason why I used the school as an example was because the school was the foundation. And through school, you've learned all what you have now. So you were equipped. You're now equipped. And you're not going to leave it like that. You made that decision now that you want to learn further. I want to learn a new skill. I do not want to rely on what my teachers are teaching me in class. I want to know more. So you've made that decision now. But the next step is you need to have a plan, and that is where the goal setting comes in. But you can't have a plan if you can have a plan, but you must have the right mind frame. So now let's say you have your plan, you have the right mind frame. The next thing that is important in your pursuit for what you are aiming for, you need to have the right influence. So your circle of influence is now also the next thing that is important. So that is the third thing that I'm pointing out to you now. So your circle of influence. Is there anyone who knows what this represents? Have you heard about this circle of influence? Is there anyone? Let me just see if my audience is still awake. Circle of influence. So this was Covey's, he has 7 steps to this Covey's circle of influence. Okay, Edward, raise his hand. Thank you, Edward. Yes, my dear. You can unmute yourself, Edward. Edward, you can unmute yourself. I am trying to, yeah. Okay, let's see. Wasu, yes, my dear, I'm listening.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, do you have anyone go?
No, you can go, yes. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. So the circle of influence, it's there are things that we have direct impact on, the direct that we can actually act on based on the resources we have at hand. So I'm going to give an example. So if
yes, for sure.
If I'm worried about being broke, that's maybe a circle of concern. So I can do something about being broke by getting a job to get my condition better. So the circle of influence, I mean, is that axis, or there are those issues that we are able to directly work on so that we can change the narrative for ourselves. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. It's exactly what he said. Thank you so much for your contribution there. It's exactly what he said. So your circle of influence and your circle of concern. So your circle of influence must be bigger than your circle of concern. Why? Because your circle of concern is the things that are going to keep you behind, because that is your worries. That is the things that you can't control. That is the negative things that will have a negative impact on your life, things that have a negative impact in you, and that will be a stumbling block in your way to self-education. So their circle of concern must be smaller than your circle of influence, because your circle of influence is what you can control. It's the things that you can control. And if we say it's the things that you can control, on your way to success or to self-education, what can you control? You have control over when will you do it? How are you going to do it? You have control over that. So your circle of influence should be bigger than your circle of concern. But now, why do I use this circle of influence here now? I'm using this specifically on our life journey. You will come across many people. And those people are going to have an impact in your life, and they're going to influence you. And you cannot surround you with people that are negative or that are part of your circle of concern, because that's a stumbling block for you. We are looking out here now for things that are positive. So negative energy should not be part of this, because this is reactive people. That is people that are focused. They focus on weaknesses, on problems, and they always blame people. They always look for negative things. So you need to surround you with positivity, people that are positive. Not just people that are positive. The environment must be of such a nature that it is a learning culture that takes place. Ask yourself, is the person that are involved currently in your life, is that person beneficial? If they're not beneficial and they're bringing you down, and that is where I'm going to say, I'm not saying cut them out. I don't have a right to say it. You know what's right and wrong. This is where I'm coming in, where I say, be choosy with your circle of influence. And that is the message that I want to say here. You know what is a circle of concern? You know what is a circle of influence? The message that I want to leave to you, because I don't have the right to say, but listen, you need to cut those people out. You need to do this. Be choosy with who you allow in your circle of influence, because that is the people that is going to help you. That is the people that will take pride in your successes. They will be happy because you are happy. And that is why I'm saying this is also a very important thing that you need to take in consideration. The people that are part of your immediate surrounding. At school, you know whether that child wants you to succeed. You know this one is not a good friend for me. You must know where to draw the line and to cut this negativity out. So be choosy with your circle of influence. So that is the third important thing on your way to lifelong journey. So I'm almost finished. The correlation between self-education and success. What do they all have in common? Ellen, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. They all billionaires who dropped out of school. Now you're going to think, drop out of school. I'm not saying you must drop out of school now. And then you become a billionaire. They did drop out of college to do nothing. They didn't drop out of college to do nothing. They did it because it was a decision that moved them towards their own direction. I know Bill Gates, he read 50 books a year. That was a goal that he set to himself. Mark Zuckerberg, he said to himself, he read every 2 weeks a book. But they dropped out because they had a plan and they followed the plan through. So with that, I'm not saying drop out of school. It's just an example. There are people who dropped out, they didn't see it through, but they made a success of it. So what is the benefits of self-education as a lifelong learning? It's flexible. Flexible learning. Why am I saying it's flexible? Because you can pace yourself. Your own time, according to your own schedule, according to your own pace, what you want to learn. So that is why I'm saying it is flexible learning. So that is the benefits of self-education. You at school, the teachers are giving you the topics, or in university, you go to the library, you do self-reading, self-study, your own time. In class, you are relying on the time that is set there for that specific period. And you cannot grasp everything at that specific moment. Self-education, you time yourself. And then another example is for career advancement opportunities. You know what your aim is. If you want to reach to the top, credentials isn't going to get you there. You need to differentiate yourself. That is the key here. And then low cost or even free. And if I say the advantage, low cost or even free, remember I said circumstances should not be a stumbling block. There are so many free tools on the internet, free courses on the internet. Not just the internet. In your community, if there's community projects that you can do, go for it. Because that is how you learn. And then also, there are way more benefits. I just have taken out a few. Is increased happiness and satisfaction. At the end of the day, you will be happy and you will be satisfied. So, but there are way more benefits for self-education. I was just taking out a few. Okay. No self-education. I was thinking, well, how can I put this now? Because I want to bring this also across. Maybe this heading is not the proper one. But what I want to say here, no self-education, if you now decide, no, this learning is not for me. What is the lifelong effects? So with a claim on the lifelong effects. No self-education. Remember, I'm not saying education. This is not education, self-education. What is the lifelong effects of no self-education? Lack of a voice. And what do I mean by that? People who are poorly educated. I'm not going to say uneducated, and uneducated also, but let's say poorly educated. They do not have the skills or the confidence to speak up for themselves. People are going to walk over you. And that is what I mean with the lack of voice. No self-education. This is the lifelong effects. A poverty trap. It might be that you come from a situation where your parents did not have the same education or the opportunity that you have now. So they didn't have the same, not education benefits and the things that you have now. And you're going to fall in that same circle of poverty. You're not going to get out of that. And if I say poverty, I don't mean you're not going to have anything. You have a dream. You cannot get what you dream for. And that is what I mean here, the poverty trap. You will feel you stay poor. And then also no self-education leads to unemployment. And why do I say unemployment? You have the education. Remember the job market, they're full, they're competitive. If there's 5 people who are applying for a job, if you cannot differentiate yourself from the rest, they will employ the person who have better education. Although you have your degree, you have better education because they are up to date. So that is what I mean with unemployment. And you're going to struggle maybe to get a job. That is the long life effects. And then exploitation. Places will employ you, yes. But are you worth it? You're not worth. You're sitting with a degree and you need to go and mop the floors. Why? Because people will exploit you. Because they will see you needy. Because you're doing it now just for the sake, I need money now. And it shouldn't be like that. And then also gender inequality. I think this happens even without no education. So gender inequality, for sure. And then inability to make smart political decisions. Remember, you are our future leaders. You are our future politicians. And you need to educate yourself so that we have better leaders, so that you have a voice. And that is, if you do not do self-education, this might be the lifelong effects. Okay, I'm almost done. I know you're tired. So how can we bridge the gap that we have? This is not really an answer. I was hoping that the answers I will get the answers from you. So the gap between self-education and the ever-evolving technology, so the fast-growing pace, how can we make this gap smaller? Through self-education, what can we do? How can we make that gap smaller? I have an answer. This topic, obviously. Just a few things that I've put down there is through digital literacy. Be aware of your environment and you upskill yourself. That is some of the things that I was thinking, how you can make that gap smaller. Digital literacy, make sure that you're aware of the technology. Automation is taking over. Robots is taking over. So our jobs is on the line. And what must you do? You need to jump on board here. Be aware of your environment and then upskill yourself through these internships, self-learning. Make sure that you finish your school, etc. So these are some of the things, how you can close that gap. Now, you cannot have all this. Self-education, you follow all the steps that is needed, you know everything. But in order for you to succeed, you need to have academic integrity. You need to be honest with what you are doing. It means making ethical decisions, asking questions, and following instructions, even when faced with difficult situations. So you need to have integrity. Doing things in an honest way. Cheating is not going to help you through this journey. So integrity means you have honesty in you. You trust yourself. You trust others. You have respect. So you can have all the other things for this self-education, but at the end of the day, it comes down to integrity. That is what it comes down to. Okay, I don't think we have time to watch this video. I'm over the time here, so I'm going to skip this video. In conclusion, how to be a long life learner is make a list of what you want to learn. So this is what I'm sending you home with. You make a list of what you want to learn. And out of that list, you choose one thing on the list that is important for you. And then you find the resources. You structure some time in your day to learn. And make sure it is realistic. And make a commitment and try to learn every day. Thank you. I hope it was meaningful and that you can take, that you have learned something and that it is something that you can take with you. I thank you all.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Daniels. This is indeed worthwhile, and I was able to pick a lot of lessons and nuggets from the section, which I believe every participant was able to pick one or two things too. I hope I'm speaking your mind, everyone. Awesome. So now let's just take question quickly, maybe 2 to 3 questions, because I believe one of the way we know good students is that they ask questions after lectures, after every section.
I hope there's no questions.
So please just raise your hand, indicate if you're having any questions so that we'll have you quickly. Questions? Questions, anyone? Okay. Mr. Wasiu, number 1. Do we have any other person asking any question?
Okay, well, okay, there's a question. Okay, Mr. Washu. I hope I will be, listen, they can answer, hey?
I'll be number 2. I'm having a question too. All right, let's have you, Mr. Wasiu. Thank you.
All right, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Daniels, for the wonderful lecture that you just gave. That was great. My question is around, you mentioned something regarding automation in a fast-paced world where what we learn today is going to be obsolete tomorrow. I mean, that's the reality we find ourselves. That's the modernism and technology. I want to know what your advice is for as we self-educate in this world, in this current world that we find ourselves, where technology is so fast-paced, information is so fast-paced, such that what you are currently learning might have become obsolete by the time you're done learning it, and you still need to pick up another learning after that is gone. So, I mean, I just want to know what you advise us in this regards. How do you advise us to, how do we strike a balance between wanting to learn what is useful for us and actually learning what will be useful by the time we are done learning it? Thank you.
Yeah, I would say, you know, there are so many resources. And I think many of the time, you don't know how to filter. You sit with all the information and you don't know how to filter it. So I would advise that you start with filtering what you want. And once you have that, you take it from there. And then it comes down to just make sure that you stay abreast by reading, by watching videos or whatever the case might be, because it's changing fast. It's a fast pace and you're going to fall behind if you cannot keep up. It's about keeping up. And how do you keep up? Make sure that you know what the changes are And then once you know what the changes are, you make sure that you get the resources. And the resources you need to filter. And then you take it from there. I hope I answered your question.
Okay.
Very
All right.
easy.
To my question, to the second question, that's my question. Okay, in one of your slides, you pictured learning approach that we learn from theories, practice, and mistakes, in which mistake has the highest bar. Now, my question is that are we as students, are we necessarily to learn from our mistakes? Like, must I make a mistake before I learn? Or I try to avoid mistakes and perhaps learn from other people's mistakes? Or is it quite important I fall into a dish making mistakes before I actually learn one or two things in this journey of learning in lifelong? I don't know if you really understand my question. You know, mistakes has the highest bar in that slide: theory, practice, and mistakes.
Yeah.
So my question is: do I learn? Is it best to learn from others' mistakes, or I must definitely make my mistakes before I actually?
I don't know why you say learn from others' mistakes. You learn best from your own mistakes. You see what others do, yes, the mistake that they've done. You cannot learn from others' mistakes. You see, you observe what they are doing. Obviously, you're not going to do what they've done. It's not your mistakes. So you can observe what they've done, but you're not going to make the same mistakes that they've done and then you correct it. You learn from your mistakes. You observe what others do, and then you try not to do it. And obviously, on your way to success, you are not going to deliberately make mistakes. And when is a mistake a mistake? A mistake is a mistake only afterwards. None of us can predict a mistake. You will only realize it afterwards. It is a mistake. You might realize it by yourself, or somebody else along your journey might tell you or inform you, listen, but you have made this mistake. You can do this better than what you have done. And then you might have picked up, okay, I've made a mistake. But you're never going to learn what others have done wrong. You've observed what they've done wrong. Yes, and you're not going to do the same mistakes. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I now understand.
Does it answer your question?
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay. Do we have any other question before we round up? Before we move to the WhatsApp group to conclude quickly. Any other question on the call?
I think I have a contribution in addition to that. Yeah, this is Elijah. Well, I think there is something which the presenter said, which I want to stress, and that is the need for us to learn and self-learn. Although thinking about the guys from the rural area and from the country that UNESCO is using as example for this year's theme. And we are looking at the girl child in a rural area without education, without the right to learn. There are some countries that you don't have right to do anything. Thank goodness. Some countries have started relieving principals and allowing the girl child to learn and even walk. That is a big issue, even in the rural area. So some of us that have opportunity to have them around, we can as well take it along with us. Some people are educated. They're actually educated. That he does not know how to speak English does not mean he's not educated. He knows how to do something. So there's no one that is tabula rasa, completely empty. It means that that same person can pick up a skill, can pick up a book if he knows how to read, and read without even a teacher teaching him or her. From this, I have learned a lesson that you can actually encourage them. And then since lifelong learning is ongoing and progressive, is a continuum, it means that they can, there's always a time length, a time lag before any skill can elapse or can be outdated. There's always a time lag before any knowledge can be updated. I know some of us are expert in one field or the other, and then before you learn that skill, some other people were expert in that skill. So I think it's a good thing we keep learning, and the more you learn, the more the better you do. I want to use this medium to appreciate everyone, and especially the speaker. I really learned that the day you stop learning, that day you start dying. Any day you stop learning, that day you start dying, you start decaying gradually. Thank you.
All right, that's a good one from Mr. Elijah. Thank you so much. We are very grateful. So on this note, we'll be wrapping up the call. And I would love to stress one of the points the speaker mentioned, which is academic integrity, which is one of our core values at Unblemished Advocacy. We believe every student in the academics had to move on with integrity. We believe it is possible for students to, by diligence, absorb, learn on their own, and ace the assessment, pass exceptionally well in the academics, in the examinations, without having any external influence, without having to depend on their friends, without having to cheat or copy in the examination. So this is one of our core values and one of what we majorly preach when we go on outreaches to young students. We want them to believe in their God-given brain and ability, and we try inciting the knowledge in them for learning. We believe every young ones, every student, everyone has a learning joy within. There is a joy for learning that can be earned, that can be worked upon, which with this approach of lifelong learning, it can definitely get better. So I'm using this medium to appreciate everyone once again, and to point to us that in our various platforms, as students, as teachers, as our colleagues, let us always try to stress academic integrities. And when we meet young ones, especially young students, let's make them understand that they are more than enough. Let's try to build up their self-esteem, that they can definitely excel, they can do well in their academics without having to cheat. I've had young students say, can I really pass exam on my own? How possible is that? Is that really possible? Why won't I cheat in the exam? Will I really pass? Can I ace my papers without having to depend on my friends? I've had young students say that, which many of these are wrong mindsets, which I believe it can be worked upon when we rightly inform them. And now I believe being on this call tonight, we have also picked that up as a virtue in us. And I believe we will stress the truth wherever we find ourselves. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, everyone. I want to really appreciate everybody that stayed to the end. from the first minute to this present time. Thank you so much. So we'll be dropping the resources to our mails. The slide, I believe we would love to go through the slides again. We'll send it to our mails. And sorry, please, Mrs. Daniels, please, I would love to take permission from you if you can drop us the link of that video that you could not play to us due to time factor. We would love to see the video. Is that possible, Ma?
It's possible, yes. It's just a minute. It's just a minute, but I'll drop it, yes.
All right, thank you. Just give us the link. We'll attach it to the mail so that people that are interested will be able to have the full package of the presentation. Thank you so much. So I'll be dropping the feedback and evaluation form on our WhatsApp group. Please, after this call, please pick the link up and let's hear from you how we can improve in our subsequent webinars. Thank you so much. So we'll be expecting your feedback as you use the link. Thank you. So this marks the end of the webinar. Or do you have anyone that has anything to say? Maybe lastly, before we draw the curtain.
Certificate.
Thank you so much. So let's meet on the group to pick up the link for the feedback form. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Bye.